Good morning, everyone. Welcome to day 3 of drag racing. So a reminder that your math goal of this week is that students will identify and locate fractions using a number line. And today your goal is that you will be able to apply your understanding of fractions on a number line to complete a project that resembles a real world situation. So sometimes in math we're wondering, why in the world are we learning about fractions? When will I ever use this in real life? But in this problem, you'll see exactly how you can use fractions in the real world, okay? So it's important to familiarize yourself with this fraction number line poster because it is a good reference point as we continue to work on our drag racing problems, okay? So let's take a look at a sample problem that we are doing today. So Maeve and Connor run a mile race. So there's a few things that I have to do here. So 1, I have to determine who wins the race. 2, I have to mark each racetrack with the location of the time sensors. 3, I have to record each runner's total elapsed time at each sensor. And finally, I have to design a trophy for the winner, customized with their name and total time. So let's take a look. So I can see that the sensors are from the start line to 1/6 of a mile, from 1/6 of a mile to 1/4 of a mile, from 1/4 of a mile to a half mile, from a half mile to 3/4 of a mile, and from 3/4 of a mile to the finish line. So I can see that I have 1/4, 1/2, which is equivalent to 2/4, and 3/4, and the finish line. So I know that my fourths number line is going to come in handy, and I also need to take a look at my sixths to see where 1/6 falls in relation to fourths. So I've lined up my number lines here, and it looks like 1/6 falls just before 1/4. So that's important to know going forward. Okay, then everything else can just be our denominator of 4. So 1/4, 2/4, which is equivalent to 1/2, 3/4, and the finish line would be equivalent to 4/4. So let's take a look at our directions. So first, we need to determine the winner of the race, but I don't think we can do that until we mark each racetrack with the location of the time sensors. So let's look at our racetrack and mark each location of the time sensors. So here is going to be 1/6, 1/4, 2/4, and 3/4. And it's going to be the same thing down here. 1/6, 1/4, 2/4, and 3/4. Okay, so we've marked our time sensors on our racetracks. And now the next step we need to do is record each runner's total elapsed time at each sensor. So let's take a look. Let's do Maeve first. So from the start line to 1/6 of a mile, she ran for 120 seconds. So I want to record that. So I'm going to put from the start line to 1/6 was 120 seconds. From 1/6 to 1/4, it was 80 seconds. Okay, but oops, I made a mistake here. I need to do the total elapsed time. So 120 plus 80 would be 200. From 1/4 to 2/4, or 1/4 to 1/2, she ran for 120 seconds. So we need to think about what is 200 plus 120, 320. From 2/4 to 3/4, she ran 130 seconds. So what is 320 plus 130? Good, 450. And finally, from 3/4 to the finish line, she ran for 115 seconds. So 450 plus 115 is going to be 565. That was the total it took Maeve to run 1 mile. Okay, now it's time to look at Connor's data. So Connor ran from the start line to 1/6 of a mile in 130 seconds. So I'm going to write 130 here. Then he ran 1/6 of a mile to 1/4 of a mile in 70 seconds. So I need to add 70 to 130, which is 200. Then he ran 1/4 of a mile to 2/4 of a mile, or 1/2 of a mile, in 120 seconds. So 200 plus 120 is 320. Next, he ran 2/4 of a mile to 3/4 of a mile in 120 seconds again. So I need to add 320 plus 120, which gives me 440. And finally, from 3/4 of a mile to the finish line, he made it in 100 seconds. So I need to add 440 plus 100 equals 540 seconds. So from here, I am able to tell who is the winner. Who is the winner? Let's see. Good. Connor is the winner with 540 seconds. So I'm going to go back and make sure I followed all of the directions, determined the winner of the race, check, mark each racetrack with the location of the time sensors, check, record each runner's total elapsed time at each sensor, check, and design a trophy for the winner customized with the name and total time, check. So this looks a lot like your assignment you are doing today. You're looking at Jack and Terry drag racing from the start line to 1/6, 1/6 to 1/4, 1/4 to 1/2, 1/2 to 3/4, and 3/4 to the finish line. And you're doing the same things, determining the winner, marking each racetrack, recording each driver's total elapsed time, and designing a trophy for the winner, customized with his name and total time. Okay, so you are going to do that task today, adding up the amount of milliseconds. I think you are going to do a great job. I'm looking forward to seeing all of your hard work. Have a good day.